West Radio. Stand by. Welcome to AbilityMKE Now. My name is Sue Rostoff, and here at AbilityMKE Now, we are a show all about integration, bringing people with disabilities and people that don't have a disability together, enjoying life here in the Milwaukee area. We all have different abilities, and here at AbilityMKE Now, we dive into this topic of diverse abilities. The concept of disability hits a wide range of possibilities. We could be talking about physical or mental disabilities, the deaf and hard of hearing community, blindness, chronic pain, mental health diagnosis, goals of substance use reduction, and the list goes on. We all have our own experience with disability, whether it's our own, with people we know, or with people we encounter in our daily lives. Here at AbilityMKE Now, we break down the barriers and celebrate the ability in all of us. I am so happy to be here tonight. I know we are recording this at an off time with what we normally do with River West Radio, because today actually is New Year's Day, 2025. And I am excited to have, as always, having Emily Golmer joining us. And we have a wonderful guest as well. So Emily, I think I'll go ahead and bring you in first to just give a quick hello. And then we will go ahead and bring in our guest. Emily, how are you doing tonight?
Good. How's everything going? Hi, River West Radio, everybody here in Milwaukee. Good to be here as always. But our guest this evening, I believe we went through networking. I believe is out in the Arizona area. They're one of our great life coaches and working with social influencers. And the best versions of themselves. So nothing further ado, bring in Mr. Max. So welcome, Max.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
How's it going?
I'm so glad you could be joining us tonight. Wonder if you want to just dive in a little bit further and let everybody know a little bit more about who you are, what you do. I'm so excited to hear more.
Yeah, for sure. So I am, like Emily was saying, I am a life and habit coach based out of the Phoenix area. I work specifically with social media influencers. I run a community with influencers kind of in the realm of 5,000 to 50,000 followers who are looking to become better versions of themselves, level up their business, all those kinds of things. We have a platform and community that helps them to connect and collaborate with other influencers, grow and share strategies with each other, as well as receive habit coaching, life coaching, business coaching, and just motivation and accountability. So we've got a whole lot of different things for them there. And yeah, it's been a blast. My life goal is just to help as many people change to be better versions of themselves as possible. So
and what a perfect time for us to be connecting. This is the first of the year, literally the first day of the year, when so many people are taking that moment to kind of reevaluate where they are in what they're doing and really in who they are and what kind of goals they want to set for this upcoming year. So have you found that you're maybe getting a little busier as people are thinking, or, maybe in the next couple of weeks, probably people are reaching out like, got ideas, I have goals, but I need some help.
Yeah. I've had a couple people reach out and just kind of ask me what, a couple different things. I've had a couple people ask me what my method for setting goals is around the new year. And I set goals for the new year, but I am like, I'll just set a goal whenever I need to get stuff done. I'm not someone who will wait around until the new year and say, oh, I need that new year to be a new me. It's like, nah, that happens every day. So I've sent that over to a couple people, and then I've had a few friends reach out and ask for kind of some more specific advice on like their personal situations with the goals they're setting, and say, hey, I'm trying to do this specific goal. Do you have any ideas as to how we can make that better, how we could implement some accountability to it, et cetera, et cetera. So it's been yeah, a little bit busier, but I love it, man. It's great.
And being the social influencing, I'm guessing you get to interact with people not just across the country, but I'm imagining the reach goes far and wide all across the planet.
Yeah, that's the goal eventually. Right now we're pretty small, so we're still mostly in the US. But we'll head that. I know I've got some people that I've connected with in the UK, and in France, but not a whole lot outside of that yet.
Maybe that'll be part of your new year.
Yeah, maybe we'll see.
So Max, how did you get into this whole like life coaching and social influencing, or like what inspired you to get into doing what you're doing?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. It's kind of a longer story. But essentially growing up, I was a jerk. Not like, can't really sugarcoat it at all. It's just, it is what it is. I treated everyone around me who I didn't like they were dirt and just worthless. And um, you wrap that into being really, really prideful and being addicted to 5 different things as a teenager, and you get just a big old mess of going nowhere, which is what I was. And when I was 19, I got slapped across the face enough times finally that I realized, like, shoot, man, if I keep doing what I'm doing and acting how I'm acting, my life is going worse than nowhere. And I realized that I didn't want that, and that I wanted to change. And I feel like a lot of people kind of have that thought process, but then kind of either don't do anything about it or don't do enough about it. One of my favorite quotes is just that when you want to change as badly as you want to breathe, that's when real change happens. And for a multitude of reasons, when I finally kind of woke up to how stupid I was being, I wanted to change, and still do want to change, frankly, more than anything that I've ever wanted in my entire life. Like, it's the reason that I wake up every day. It's the reason why I push so hard. And why I'm trying to affect the change now that I am. And so I realized that I needed to change drastically and permanently and immediately, right? And so I started doing some research and trying to figure out like the best starting point to change, in order to create change that's like permanent. Um, and I came across the attribute of meekness, which I'm not sure, some of you in the audience probably think that that means weakness. And that actually couldn't be further from the truth. Meekness is, it's two different parts. So um, the first part is being humble, right? Which I think a lot of people might understand. Um, but that's only half of it. So you need to be humble and teachable to the point where you are able to learn from everyone and everything. But then the other half of meekness is self mastery. And so being able to take those things that you're learning and then immediately implement them in order to actually create change. And so obtaining that attribute of meekness is the perfect facilitator for change. It increases your rate of change by drastic effects, because if you are humble enough that you're able to learn from everyone and everything, and then implement that knowledge to change because you have the discipline to do so, like, boom, you can change anything about yourself that you want to. And so when I came across that, I was like, oh shoot, okay, this is where I'm going to start, because it's perfect. It's the perfect facilitator for me to change in the ways that I want to. And so I spent a lot of time researching, studying, poring over that, and trying to obtain that attribute for myself. And I still work on it, actually. It's been like 4 years now, 5 years, that I've been aggressively studying this attribute and trying to bring it into myself. And that was kind of the start of everything, was finding that key to change. Because that's the most important part, like, is the mindset, right? And understanding that not only can you change, but you can change fast, and you can change permanently. Like, it is totally possible. I am a living witness of that. I've done that in all the different aspects of life, with great effect. Over the last 5 years, I've completely flipped the course of my life, going from kind of who I was describing before to someone who my parents are actually proud of, which they wouldn't have said that 5 years ago, and I wouldn't have blamed them, because I wasn't someone who is worthy of praise. And so it's been really cool to see that, like, just how possible change is. And after doing a lot of service for other people, a lot of helping my friends to change, and doing this for myself, I realized that it makes me feel alive. It's what gets me going, you know? And so it took me a while to finally realize, but I was watching a TED Talk video one day. This was later last year. I can say that now because it's 2025, right? But it's it's been a couple months now, and I was watching this TED Talk video, just trying to figure out, like, what I wanted with my life, what I wanted to do, what I felt like was really, really my calling. And I realized that I needed to be a life coach. I needed to be someone who just helps with the experiences, and all the things that I've learned. I'm huge on self-education, huge on self-improvement. I just feel really, really strongly that my environment and my experiences have given me a perspective and a wisdom that is not normal for my age. And I only feel comfortable saying that because I have a lot of adults, and really impressive professionals, people in leadership spheres and coaching spheres, who have said that about me. It's not like me coming on and trying to say, oh, look at me, I'm so cool, because I'm not. I'm really not. But I recognize that I have unique perspective and value to share with the world, and I love helping people change. That's just it's become part of who I am. And so here I am doing it and trying to grow it as best I can.
Love it. Oh, there's so many good things in that story. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Finding that, in my mind, I call it like that aha moment of something hits you hard enough, strong enough that you are ready now to do something different. And then it's that matter of, okay, how do I do this? And that's where I'm so glad that you are making yourself available in that arena, that people can go to somebody that has been there, done that, and can help the next person figure out, how do I do this for myself? Because I'm ready to change. I need to do something different than what I've been doing. Where the heck do I start? How do I do this? So when people come to you, where do you start with people? I'm assuming you have a good conversation to see where they're at and all, but how do you really begin with the person? That's where my head keeps going. It's like, okay, how do you get from point A to point Z down the road? Because there's a lot of steps to get there.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. The first key is to get to know them. People need to be taught according to their needs, right? You have to meet them where they are. You can't just, especially with coaching, like everyone is so different, right? We're all really, really similar, and human nature is very similar, and it repeats throughout history, so you can study and learn those patterns. But still, on a situation and a case-by-case basis, we're all really different. And when you're coaching someone, there's that quote is that they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? And so my first step is to establish that connection, that rapport with them, so that they know that I'm genuinely on their side. And it's like, whether there's money involved or not, like, I really don't care. I just care about people, and I love serving people, and I want to make sure that they know that before anything else. And what that looks like is really just asking them good questions, getting to know their background, getting to know why they are the way that they are. I have an activity or an exercise, I guess, where I help people discover what their existing principles are. So a principle is just a purpose or a reason that governs why you're making a choice that you're making in your life, right? Because we're all making choices every second of every day, and there's principles behind why we make any of those choices. Most of those principles are kind of buried in the subconscious, right? Or the unconscious mind, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what the technical term for it is. And so they're not like, it's not a conscious thought necessarily, but there is that reason or idea behind why you make any individual choice that you do. And so I have a couple of series of guided questions, kind of self-discovery based, that help people identify what their existing principles are, and then identify what their ideal principles are. And sometimes people are at a point where their existing principle and the ideal principle are one and the same, right? And they're really locked and loaded and doing good in that area. But oftentimes, and this is the case with myself as well, we have existing principles or reasons for why we're making some choices that we're making that aren't up to our par, right? They're not our ideal. We'd rather be making a different choice for the right reasons, right? I've found that life is most enjoyable when you're making the right choices for the right reasons. And what that is, what the right choice is and what the right reason is totally dependent on each person, right? And so running people through that exercise and helping them to find, okay, here's where I'm at. Here's my principles. Here's why I am the way that I am right now. And here's my ideal. Here's where I want to go. Discovering those two sides of that coin then kind of sets the stage for, okay, here's a couple different areas that you can change because you're here and you want to be here. So let's bridge that gap, right? And that's when we get into the specifics of habit coaching and accountability and building all of those different systems that allow people to change. But the first step is building that rapport, getting to know them, letting them know that I'm here for them, and then identifying where they're at and just who you are now and who do you want to be, and then work on bridging that gap.
Excellent. Well, I know you said early on that you had done a lot of research and a lot. So, do you have any particular leadership, whether author or coach? Is there anyone in particular that you really enjoy following and have learned? I know I've got quite a few in my background of who I really enjoy. I'm kind of curious who's inspired you along the way, dude?
Honestly, number one, Jesus. I'm not sure whether I'm allowed to say that on like a public radio thing, but that's the truth, man.
That's the truth. I love it.
Like if you want to take off the fact that he's the son of God or that he died for your sins, whatever, you want to remove that from the equation totally. Jesus is still objectively the single most influential historical leader or leader period anywhere ever. Like you can't argue that. We base our time off of him. Like name one other person who's had more of an impact, right? You can't. And not even that, but it's an impact for good, right? And so I'm Christian, right? But I realized kind of early on that like that's the model of excellence. Like if I want to be someone who really helps people to change and who really helps people to grow, he's the standard. He's the gold standard. But I mean, some people probably might not like that answer, but it is what it is. Other than Jesus, there's a dude named Edward Thorp who ran a hedge fund. Is one of the most successful hedge funds of all time. I think he only had one trading day out of like 1,970 something where he was negative in profit or some astronomically crazy. He had like 20% returns year over year every single year that he did it, just about. But he optimized for life. His story is absolutely incredible. He's got an autobiography out called A Man for All Markets. And just the way that he was able to not let his pride get in the way. And he had a couple instances where his partner screwed him over. The government came after him for something that he didn't do. And he had the formula, right? He could have gone out and been one of the world's richest people, but he said, hey, I've already got more money than I'm ever going to be able to spend. I'm going to optimize for life. I'm going to focus on being well-rounded, on following my passions, on making sure that I'm spending time with my family. I'm taking care of my health, right? Health is wealth, really. If we're going to be honest here, like you can have billions and billions of dollars, and that's great. But if you're decrepit, fat, and can't really move, like, what's the point? You can't go out and enjoy that money and wealth to its fullest. So you don't really have true wealth, in my opinion, without having the health as well. And Ed Thorp, he's an incredible example of as close to what I would call balance as you can. I don't believe that there is perfect balance or true balance. that people have, but he's a really good example. I actually was watching an interview that he did with Tim Ferriss the other day. He's 90. He doesn't look a day over 60. I'm not even joking. You can watch the interview. It's incredible. His thoughts are really cognitive, super well formed, really articulate at 90. It's nuts. And so that's outside of Jesus, that's who I'm trying to be like.
I love that. Successful and inspiring with what he's all done and having priorities in order. And people don't always start out that way. I mean, we all have to learn as we go and realize, I mean, that whole thing of looking back in time, you can have the 2020 hindsight and see where you could have done different, you could have done better. And looking forward, sometimes it's hard to see because there's so many unknowns. I can go for a goal, but there's going to be a lot of different things that happen between now and then. And how do I know I'm going to get to where I'm going? That's where I love where you're coming from with having the habits, establishing that mindset, and doing those things that you can control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What would you say would be your top advice that you would give somebody as they're looking out to this new year, and if they are one that has decided that they want to take on a New Year's resolution of some sort, or if they want to even just have a new goal in place, what would be your number one advice you want to give to them as they start?
I love that question. That's one of my favorites. A goal without a plan is just a dream. And if you don't have a specific plan, maybe it'll happen. It's possible, but probably 98, 99 times out of 100, it's not going to happen. And I'm speaking from personal experience. Like I've run a lot of tests with myself and with my own life and trying to optimize and really live at the meeting point of effectiveness and efficiency in all that I do. And I find when I have a goal and I say, okay, whatever your goal is, you got to get really, really specific with it. So like, one of my physical goal for 2025 is to get in the best shape of my life, right? And that's I think that's something that a lot of people say, oh yeah, like that'd be great. I'm gonna lose those pounds, I'm gonna put on that muscle, I'm gonna get past that last level of resistance that my body's giving me and really, really just look the best that I ever have, right? And that's cool. That's a dream. That there's no plan to that, right? Not yet. And so when I format them, I say, okay, I will do blank by blank. And when I'm saying by, it's like I have a specific daily habit that has a specific what, when, and where attached to it. So for instance, my physical one, right? I will be in the best shape of my life this year by jump rope, doing 3 sets of 1 minute jump rope, 50 push-ups, and 60 crunches 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, when I go to the gym in the morning between the hours of 6 and 7 a.m. Right? That's specific.
That's specific.
There's like, oh, okay, shoot, he knows. Right? Sorry, what were you going to say?
To say, before we run out of time, if somebody wants to learn more, where would they find more information about you?
I'm all over social media. Max Baldoff, Ask Max Baldoff is my handle. If there are influencers listening to this who'd like to be part of the community, you can look at my page there and be able to access the community from that. Shoot me a DM, just reach out that way, and I'd be happy to connect with anyone.
Excellent. Well, Max, this has been such a pleasure to have you with us tonight. Thank you so much for taking time with us, and I've learned a lot. I love it. I love what you're doing, and I wish you all the best and hope you can come back again to visit us again in the near future. So thank you so much. And as always, to all listening, we thank you.